Episode 3 of Tell a Story with Jesse. Jesse and I have worked together for about 9 months now, and we always sit down and talk about content creation and just content in general, but we've never really talked about us. So it was really good to sit down and hear his story and what's brought him over this side of the country and where he's looking to go. I really hope everyone gets something out of this episode because I definitely did. So let's not wait any longer. Here's Jesse.
So I actually figured that I don't know much about you.
Yes.
So I know that you moved over here from Western Australia on a bit of a risk, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you.
And that was full stop it. I just moved over here for nothing. No.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. So where'd you grow up?
So I am a WA boy, lived in Perth pretty much most of my life. However, so I've had a pretty colourful childhood. My mum used to move us around a lot, boyfriend to boyfriend or depending on the situation. However, I've lived in Karratha for a year. Do you know where that is?
No, where is
it's
it?
at the top of Australia. It's like a mining town.
Okay, yep.
And then I lived in Brisbane for a year. That was with my mum and dad. And that was when I was like 6. But that's also where they split up.
Yep.
The fairy tale ended. And then we moved back to Perth. And then when I was 15, I went to go and live down in Bunbury with my grandparents because my mum went to start working away in the mines. And she thought I couldn't look after myself, so I need to go down to Bunbury and live with my grandparents. And I went down to, and she thought I needed to go to a Christian school, so I went to a Christian school for a year. It didn't do much, and I failed Bible studies, but that wasn't gonna shock anyone.
So how old were you when you went down there?
So I was 15 and I turned 16 when I was there. So I was there for about a year and a bit.
Yeah. So was that hard?
Oh my gosh, it was awful. Living with my grandparents wasn't awful because I got treated like an absolute king.
Yep.
And my grandma used to do all the cooking, do all the cleaning, and feed me. And I was definitely very on the chubby side as a teenager. But I also think that was like, there was so many factors to that because I was so depressed as a teenager and food was my poison.
Yeah.
Food was my therapy. And I eat when I'm emotional. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm sad. And I look forward to every fucking meal. And I'm a snacker.
Yeah. So when you were younger like that, what made you feel so down, depressed?
So there was so many different things and factors. Being gay was one of them, and coming out and figuring out myself and figuring out what's comfortable and trying to fit into societal norm. Like people knew that I was gay, but I also never, like, cause I'm not mass straight, a butch man, like, and like people would always question and that kind of thing, but I never could come out to myself. And that was a huge factor. It was like coming to the realization that I am gay and that it is okay to be gay.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing, is that my feelings are normal and natural, where especially in the 90s, I was born in 95, so I was a baby in the 90s, but in the early 2000s and especially my mum and dad, and that they weren't against it, but they weren't overly for it. And my dad is very much a Aussie battler, like he's a real Aussie man, and in construction and just a real man's man. And the guys that he would hang around with wouldn't be the typical guys that you would think, oh, they would be okay with.
Yeah, you can't really say that my son's gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was that. And just my family circumstance. So I've had a really interesting relationship with my mum. We started off like she was my number one. Like I absolutely adored her for years and years and years, and had absolute love for her and would really do anything for her.
Yep.
And it ended up just becoming, when I was older, a very toxic relationship because she was very much spiraling, and her coping mechanism was alcohol.
Okay.
And is alcohol. And she would go from guy to guy, but each guy would get more toxic, and they wouldn't want us kids. It's not necessarily we're a whole package. It was that mum's the prize and we're just there because we're a part of that.
You kind of have to be.
You have to put up with it. But it wasn't in a way where they wanted to take us on. And obviously when we're older, they don't really have to take us on. However, we are still a part of her life.
Yeah. How old were you around that time when that was all happening?
So my mum and dad broke up when I was 6.
Can you remember all of that? Like what happened?
Yeah. So it was just always a toxic environment with them. I just remember fighting all the time. Especially in Brisbane, like before they split up, I remember waking up in the middle of the night to them arguing and like walking out and like just peering around the corner into the kitchen and just seeing them go at it. And that's been a common theme, especially with my mum's boyfriends, to like each one. It just got worse and worse in terms of the abuse and psychological abuse. And not to say my mum and dad were physically abusive to each other, but my mum's pattern with the boyfriends further on, because I think she was just in such a spiral within her life, and she relied on men to get that, I guess, gratification and acceptance.
Was each boyfriend around for a long time, or were they all just kind of short?
No, so they were around for a long time. So there would be like points where there would be one for like 5 or 6 months, or one for a couple of years. And then there was one that was, I think, really detrimental to her overall mental health. And that lasted probably 6 or 7 years. And he was very very mentally abusive. It wasn't anything physical. It was just more the control aspect. Yeah. And so like, for instance, when they would go out in winter, he would shut off the gas and the electricity in the house so I couldn't use it. And I was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
So it'd be like so it'd be winter and they would have the heater on, and then they would go out for like dinner, or they'll go out and meet friends, and he would, cut the heater off and cut the gas off. And and then I remember being like, oh, Mum, like, why is the heater not working when they got back? And then he was like, I turned the gas off.
So openly, just straight out. So.
Yeah. And he would come charging into my room all the time. It was just one of those things that you look back on and you're like, fuck, that was so unhealthy.
Yeah. Like looking back on all that now, how do you think that's affected you now? So even like your relationships and things like that.
Oh, it's royally fucked me up. And it's one of those things that I've had to like work through. I think my relationship with men, especially because my relationship with my dad hasn't always been the easiest relationship. I think because he's come from a broken home. He didn't have his dad around. He never knew how to be a father per se, or he had an idea of what a father should be, but he was never really shown it. And so he's learning. And
do you still talk now?
Yeah, like him and I are really close, and he's like, our relationship that we built now has been the like best thing in my life. He and I had to work on our relationship for years and years and years, but my mum was always the middle person that would put things into my head and tell me stories that I don't know if were like factually true, or it was like her warped version of that.
Would you believe that? when she was telling you
Yeah,
that?
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was her number one supporter.
Yep.
And so unlearning or figuring out that, especially in my older years. So my dad and I didn't start getting close again till maybe like 5 years ago, where I really like took a step back from my mum and just took on my own view.
Okay.
And not to say that my dad and I, like dad hasn't done things and I haven't done things to dad where we wouldn't talk for however long in the early days. But now we've got a real understanding of each other and we can talk, and there's accountability from my dad, where there's no accountability from my mum for situations.
Okay. How hard was it to take that step to like understand that maybe that's not all it is? I need to go and talk to my dad.
Yeah. So I think that's just you come to a realization that the world isn't all that it seems directly in front of you. And there's two sides to every story. And I think just with age and me going and working on myself was a huge factor. I think for my relationship with my mum, I always had this gut feeling that I can't stay around in this environment if I want to achieve anything in life, if I want to get anywhere, because there was, with my mum and my older sister especially, they both use alcohol as a crutch and use men as validation. And it just was not a healthy lifestyle to be around.
How much older is your sister?
She's 37.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm 28. So I think for me, the biggest thing was getting to a realization, and this was at such a young age, but it took such a long time to get to the realization that like, fuck, I need to either leave this relationship or I'm probably going to stay where I'm at, or probably like the best option is not to be here.
Would you have ever gone down the same track that they went down?
Well, I was going down that, especially in my early like teens and like late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
Like 21, 22, when I was still in the thick of it. So living at the house with mum and my older sister was probably the most toxic thing I've ever experienced, because they both use alcohol as an abuse, they both use alcohol as an escape. But especially my sister used to get really violent and my mum would work away. So I would literally lock myself in my room at night so my sister couldn't get to me.
Yeah.
Because she would just get absolutely blotto and not remember anything and like come into my room and like attack me. And then the next morning, then she wouldn't remember it. And so there was just all these little bits and pieces that would happen. And it was just a constant thing of like, there was always a drama with them. There was always some problem. There was always relationship drama. There was always a problem with someone within the family. If someone said anything against what they were like either doing or like treating people or whatever it was, there was always a problem. And so when I was 26, I was running my own business, but I was still struggling mentally because I was still so wound up in their life and like trying to like help them and fix them and save them and be there.
Did you really
for
think
them.
that you could? Did you do you still think that you could?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No. So I think that my biggest thing was I was trying to make something of myself. I was trying to run my business and it was just never going anywhere because I was so wound up within their drama and trying to help them that I would just burn myself out.
Yeah.
And it was just a constant cycle. And actually 4 years ago, my sister got diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so the oldest one, she got diagnosed with a brain tumor, and that sent her, and then she got it removed, and then she did all the treatment, and she's ended up being pretty much free of it. However, her alcoholism like quadrupled.
Okay.
And that was a catalyst into me distancing myself from her and my mum, because my mum that was her drinking buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she wanted to go out and go to events and do and go like for a drink, she would get my sister to tag along with her, or she would get my sister to come around to her house and like have drinks and that kind of thing, because mum didn't want it to be a problem.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like denial.
Yep.
But my sister's life was deteriorating rapidly. So much so that she's in hospital right now.
Okay.
And she is in there because she can't feel her legs or her arms. She has no use of them at the moment from drinking. So anyways, a couple of years ago I had a client who was a fashion designer, and he would throw these events, and he would like have all the people come, and he would throw fashion shows and like have drinks and all of that kind of stuff. And so one of his friends ended up like reaching out to me, and we'd like touch base a couple of times, and I met her maybe like 3 or 4 times for like 20 minutes each. And at a Christmas party, she came up to me and she was like, "You're leaking energy." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "You're leaking energy. You're just like pushing shit uphill." And I was like, 100%. Like, I just feel like everything that I'm doing is not working.
Yeah.
And then so she was like, "Can you please come and do a reading with me? I've got so much to tell you." And then so I was like, "I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, yeah.
Why not?" And she pretty much was like, gave me her number. I called her the next day and I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So I went to her house the next day. She pretty much ripped the Band-Aid off of me, and she was like, "You need to quit your business, like what you're doing, and the people that like your clients, these are not the right people for you.
Yeah.
They're not supporting you and pushing you up, and they're not paying your worth."
Yeah. What were you actually doing? What was your business?
So my business was social media marketing, creating content. It started out as a concierge business, and I started out pretty much being people's bitch, like doing their errands, like running, like helping with their back end of business, doing like admin stuff, doing shopping, whatever they needed to like help bring more time into their day. And then I started getting questions about like, how am I getting clients? And like, I really like what you're doing online. Like, can you show me what you're doing? And then so that transitioned to doing social media marketing. And then I went to her house, and she, ripped the Band-Aid off. She was like, "You need to stop your business. You need to go and study screen and media broadcasting, radio." And she picked out the TAFE that I need to go to. She was like, "It's renowned. It's a really good course. You'll meet the right people, and they will get you into Nova. You'll meet the right person to get you into that. You'll make the connection, and you will do a hop, skip and a jump over East." And then
that's pretty much how it happened, isn't it?
It is how it happened, 100%.
Yeah.
And then she went into my career side, and then she went into my like family side, and she was like, "You need to cut the fucking cord. This is not healthy for you. And you need to rethink who you have in your life, because these people are keeping you down and trapped. And she was right. Like, I had so many people around me, like friends and family, that were really toxic to my progression in life and where I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
And that was just so like she hit the nail on the head. And so that pretty much we wrapped up the reading. I went home and I just like pondered for a couple of days. And then I get a call from my mum. She's like, can you come over and help me with a few bits and pieces? And so I was like, yeah, okay. So I went over there feeling like so fucking good about life. And within 2 seconds, I got in and the energy just like sunk, and there was just more family drama with my sister, my older sister. And there was drama in my mum's life, and she unloaded on me, and I pretty much just turned to her and I said, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. Like, this relationship is so unhealthy for me. I love you. I want the best for you, but I just need a break from you and like my older sister at the moment.
How did that go down?
It was horrible. It just felt like you could just see her whole like body just start shaking. She was like, so I don't even know how to explain it. Like, just angry, I guess.
Had you ever said anything like that before?
No. Because I was always such a pleaser. I was taught as a kid, I need to be quiet and I need to be seen but not heard, and I can't take up space because there's people dealing with other things that need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was definitely points in the years leading up to that where I would express a different outlook on life, or I'd express a different way that I would handle a situation that triggered her and that she didn't like. And then so that was always like a telltale sign. Like, I always knew like going through a breakup situation with my mum and my older sister would just be awful for the first like couple of months. And so, yeah, so I just pretty much just said, I'm going to take a break. And I didn't give a day, I didn't give a time. I just said, I need my own time. And then from then on, it kind of just spiraled. I left.
How did you feel when you left?
Oh, I felt utterly horrid. Like, I just felt like, because I don't know, like society doesn't really, it's not a societal norm where people speak out about being like, I cut cords with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a natural instinct for you to think, or it's not a natural instinct at all to be separated from your parents.
Yeah.
And because like, if I could at any moment, I would love to have a relationship with her, but only if she worked on herself, and only if she got healthy mentally.
Yeah. Do you deep down think that'll ever happen?
No. I think that unfortunately she's got too many life scars that she doesn't want to deal with, and her crutch is alcohol. And I feel like she's just way down past where she can resurface from.
Yeah.
And even so much so, the other week I get a call from my middle sister who I speak to, and she was like, I just need to speak to you. I need to ask you a question. And I was like, yeah, go for it. And she pretty much just said, Mum and I were hanging out the other day, and she pretty much just turned to me and said that Jesse doesn't love you. He's never loved you. He doesn't support you. And he's not there for you. And my middle sister just turned around to her and said, I don't believe you. I'm going to go to bed, and left it at that.
How old is she?
She's the middle one. So she's 34, 35. Yeah. And then, so yeah, she called me and she was like, I need to ask you a question. Did you say this to her? Like, do you not love me? Do you not want me a part of your life? And I was like, I am so wholeheartedly sorry that she would even say something like that to you. It's horrid. Like, it's horrible, especially as a mum, to try and tear your two, like, start a fight between your two kids. It's not the truth. I said to her when I had that separation conversation with her that as a collective, I can't do this anymore. And it's a lot to do with mum and Keely. It's a lot to do with mum and my older sister. And so it made me realize, it made me realize how dark she is at the moment.
Yeah, it's got to also make you realise a lot of stuff she said to you probably isn't true too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look back at stuff all the time, especially like my dad's not a fucking angel by any means, and he has his flaws and whatever. He always used to say to me, when you get older, you'll realise. And I'm older and I realise now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's nothing can prepare you for it. You can't prepare for it at all.
Yeah. How did your life change after that moment? So did positive things start happening? Or?
So look, I had a lot of clearing out to do. I had a lot of people who used me for my energy and to validate them.
Yeah.
And to make them feel good. And I came with a lot of perks because I was such a doer in terms of like, I want to make people feel good. Like, I don't want people to feel down. Like, I want to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of clearing out to do, and I'm still doing that like a couple of years later. And I think I'll forever be doing that. As a human being, you need to keep stock and you need to clear out the rotting fruit.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
So how did things change?
So how did things change?
Because you've ended up here.
Yeah.
And from what we've talked about and the way you love content and the way that you wanted to get into radio and jumping from over there to here, that's got to be a big thing.
So Diane, the one that did the reading for me, she was a huge catapult in my life changing. It was like that pivotal point where she seen something in me that people had seen before but didn't push me in the right direction and didn't help me. It was more so a use for them. They would use me and I would so happily do it because like I'm a people pleaser. But Diane was a huge catapult and she really pushed me through studying because that was really fucking hard to like go from like working for yourself and then full-time work and then like living as a student. That was brutal. But I ended up getting a job at Nova and that was through my lecturer. She was awesome. She got me in there. And then it was a year after I did my first year of study. I got student of the year. So it was all worth it. And then in the second year, I was halfway through and I was like, I literally can't study anymore. Like I'm so fucking over it. And I was working, seeing people at Nova. I was like, a lot of these people have literally just got their foot in the door and just worked their fucking asses off. And now
and that's how radio works.
Yeah. They're where they want to be. And so many of the guys that I was at Casanova with were studying 4-year degrees and to do journalism and this, that and the other. And I literally got my foot in the door the same as them. But like, you know, you just get your foot in the door and then you just work your ass off and make a good name for yourself.
Yeah, and the right people know, the right people see.
Yeah.
And that's how you move up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you need a 4-year degree to get into media.
No, I came here as a baker. And that was it. So then I had no training. I had no nothing. So it was kind of get my foot in that door by doing a little bit of free work here. And then that just skyrocketed into me being employed.
Totally.
And getting further, yeah.
Yeah, it literally is just getting your foot in the door and working your ass off.
Yeah.
Hard work really pays off in the end. It doesn't seem worth it sometimes. However, to get your foot in the door is the main thing. But then obviously, depending what direction you want to go in, you take the steps to get in front of the right people.
Yeah. Was radio what you originally wanted to do?
No. So Diane, I'd never thought radio would be able to, I never thought I'd be the type of person that could do radio. And it just seems so weird because being in just media just always seems like this coveted world that you had to be selected to get into, kind of thing. And from where I'm from, it just didn't seem like a thing that I could do. Working retail was the goal, not the goal, but was the, I don't know, what's the word for it, was really what I felt like was my only option.
Yep.
And working in construction, but I've got fucking moisturized hands. I'm not working in construction. And so, yeah, Diane was the one that really shone a light onto a life that I can create for myself and really pushed me in the direction to do it. So I ended up getting in, so the second year of my study, I ended up halfway through applying for a whole heap of roles across Australia, and I ended up getting a call from the general sales manager at the time here in Albury, saying, do you realise you applied for a job in Albury, or were you thinking of Albany in WA? And I was like, no, I know I applied for a job in Albury. She goes, oh, okay, good. Do you want to have an interview? And I was like, yes, please. So we locked in an interview. We ended up just talking for an hour about just radio in general and media and just life. And a couple of days later, she called me back and she was like, do you want a job? And I was like, yes, please.
See, I know your energy got that job because after she talked to you and had the interview, and then we were chatting about it.
Yeah.
And she was showing me all your videos, all your stuff and everything that you'd be able to do when you got here. And I know that won her over so quickly.
That's so good to hear. Thank you. It was just one of those things. I think life's really hard when you're trying to build something for yourself, in terms of you'll be knocked down so many times before you actually get what's right for you.
Yep.
And what's the right next step. And I got so many rejections prior, and it was literally just that timing thing and connecting with the sales manager at the time. And the fact that she seen something in me, that was amazing.
Yep.
And then so...
Did you know what you were coming over to do?
Yeah, sales coordinator. Yeah. And then so I literally packed my life up into 2 suitcases. I literally had to get rid of so much shit. And I was like, fuck, I literally cannot cut any more out of my life. And then I ended up doing that. Sold my car and moved over here. And now it's my gosh, it's 9 months since I've been here.
Was there doubt? A lot of doubt, or?
Oh, I always have doubt. Yeah. I'm always
that's a huge risk, just selling everything and going where you don't know anybody.
Totally.
And Albury's, it's not Sydney and it's not Melbourne.
No.
It's kind of in the middle of, not nowhere, but.
No, but yeah, it was either this is a really good, I had never heard of Albury. And then when I got here, I was like, oh my gosh, they've got a Myer. I had no clue what I was coming to, but I did hear through the grapevine and through different people that Albury was a good stepping stone, and it's a good radio hub, because it's country, but it's really not. It's a small metro city.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people, and obviously Albury, Wodonga, it's the two combined together. It is a huge city.
Yeah. And inside this building too. So a lot of people have started in here.
Yeah.
And in the Albury building, and then gone on to huge things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. there was always, I think that's the thing. It takes time. I know I have to lay down the foundations and work my ass off and do the shitty jobs before like the big things come.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's like Diane and I talk all the time. She is always my guiding force and someone that really just helps propel me to new heights and like pushes me far beyond where I would push myself, and just gives me that guidance. So like I think that she was like really one of the main catapults in my life to really turn it around and really go in a healthy direction. And I think one of the major reasons why I wanted to leave Perth was because I knew that I had so much toxic energy around me that I just needed a fresh start and to create my own, be in my own lane and create my own path. And I think that's that's been such an important thing because I've had to come over here and build a whole new life for myself from scratch.
Yeah.
I haven't had my support network, even if it wasn't healthy. I've had to like create new friendships and put myself out there and meet new people, like date, all of that. And that's taught me so many life lessons and like taught me what a resilient person I am and how like powerful I am as a creator. Like I can create my own life. Like I'm a manifestor. I can think of something and work towards it and bring that into my life. And I am showing myself that. So I think moving was the best thing I ever did for myself.
Has it made you realize who you are? Like being able to like lock into you.
Yeah.
And you're not worried about that other stuff. It's kind of like, who am I and why am I here?
Yeah, no, completely. 100%. I think that being able to be by myself and yet not have I don't know, I feel like when you've got so like all your family or like I do miss my family, like I missed going and having lunch with my dad and my auntie and my pop and like going over to my nan's and seeing her and like I do miss that. However, the day-to-day like expectation as like a friend and a part of being a part of a family and like expecting like friends expecting you to come to like things and all of that. I think having that ripped away and just starting fresh where I could purely like focus on myself and building my career has been so life-changing for me. And it like we talk about content all the time. Content is my life. I love it. Like it gives me joy and it gives me excitement. And I think it's one of those things that's ever evolving and you're as a person, you should always be evolving. And so I think content helps me evolve and pushes me out of my comfort zone. And that's why I love media, but that's why I also love social media because I love being able to create and express myself where for so many years I didn't feel like I could express myself and I didn't feel like I was able to be large and like have a large presence because that was so like condemned.
Yeah. So that's really made your content change too, hasn't it? Compared to what it used to be.
Well, if you've seen like, especially over the past year, I've tried so many different things and like done different like bits and pieces. And I think that you should always be brave enough to, if you have an idea, give it a try. Yep. Even if it fucking flops, like who cares?
It flops for you. Nobody else really cares at all.
Yeah, totally. I think it's more so of our inner judgment of being like, well, fuck, that got like 50 views.
Yeah, I used to be really bad at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to hang up on why did that one only get like 20 people watched it or why did only like 100 people like it? Like when I started putting videos out that people were enjoying, I'm like, that's still not enough. Why? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Completely.
And it just used to sit in my head and drive me absolutely mental.
Yes.
So now I'm like, I'll just do what I do. And if someone wants to watch it, that's cool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's still times where I'm like, I post it and then I'm like, fuck, that's an absolute flop. And then like delete it. But no, I think it's given me the abundance to try things. And whereas before I felt like I was in such a cage that I couldn't try like different things.
Yeah. So where do you want to go?
So I've been speaking to a few people here and they've like really helped formulate of what I like a direction that I want to go in. And I think my biggest next step is getting a job in a metro market. So like a Melbourne, a Sydney, Brisbane potentially.
Yep.
I enjoy radio and media as a whole. Like I enjoy the day to day. So I like want to be in the workings of it. And then I would love my own show where I could do it once or twice a week, that it goes for like a couple of hours on air.
Yeah.
Whether that be in the like early morning or if that be at night or like whatever it is. I think that's like my next like goal, but I'm also really enjoying doing my day in the life videos. And like, I feel like as a human being, you should have so many different outlets. And I think what I've learned, especially like having friends that have got really successful businesses, is that they have so many different like revenue streams coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I want to be a wealthy bitch. Like I want to be, I am a bougie, like I want to be bougie. Like I want to be on below deck. Like I want to hire a yacht. So I think it's just working towards having different creative outlets that bring me income.
Yeah. So what you've been through when you were younger, that's got to help motivate you now to realize that you really can go out and grab what you want and make your life.
100%. It always motivated me, especially when I was like my teens. I was like, I do not want to be, and it sounds awful, but I don't want to be anything like my parents in terms of their financial situation, in terms of their like what they do for work. Not necessarily to say what they do for work is bad, but it just seems like they're so stuck.
Yep. And
I don't want to be stuck, and I don't want to be reliant on a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
You know? And it's given me the like going through, that's just like the family thing's just like one part of it, and like coming out and trying to like figuring out that I'm gay and accepting that. Yeah, it gives me so much drive in terms of, I know that I've come from such a dark place in my mind, and I've recreated my life so many times over, and it's only just getting better and better. And I can create whatever I want.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I think that's just like the main thing. Like as a human being, like I always feel stuck, or I always feel like I could be doing better, but I just look back and I'm like, I've come so fucking far.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop now just because.
Yeah. Well, when you were younger and you're figuring out who you were and coming out as gay with your family situation like it was, how hard was it? Like, how was that in your mind?
So
like figuring out who you are.
It was awful. Like I just felt like I was I just felt like I wasn't allowed to be who I am. And I just felt so stuck. Like I don't know how to explain it. I was in a very dark place for a very long time. Like there was years that would go by that I literally would go to bed each night and wish I wouldn't wake up. But I couldn't actually go to the extent of ending my life. I've been very dark, but I just think like I couldn't do that to my family, and I know that I've survived really dark times, so I can do it again.
Yeah.
I think that, going through depression and like surviving that and really pushing yourself and working on yourself has like really been a pivotal point in my life where I'm like, I can survive it and I can come out on top.
Yeah.
But it's just like one of those constant things that you need to work on. But so what was the question?
Like it's just made you stronger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you seem very in touch with who you are. and who you want to be.
Yes.
Like when we have conversations in here, like just honest back and forth chat, and you seem very grounded.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, yeah, I feel like I've gone through so many dark times that I've had to figure myself out, and I've had to work through them.
Yeah.
And I just, I think that's one of the best things that's come out of like going through those really dark times, is knowing that I can rely on myself to pull myself back up or get through a hard time, because it's just time. It's not always going to last. And there's so much positive in life. And I just think that our situations, like our environment, our people that we hang around with have huge impacts on our life. And that's shown me time and time again that your environment impacts your life. So change it. If you're having a hard time, you can make that change. But it just comes down to it comes down to your home life. It comes down to your friends. It comes down to your work. Like, that's the main thing. I think if you change your environment, you can change your mindset.
I love that. And I think we should end on that, because that's the best positive thing that I've heard in a very long time. That made me feel good.
So good. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for opening up and just kind of allowing me to do this and letting me come back in to do this. Like being the person that I felt comfortable enough to be able to sit down and get back into this, because I had put it on the shelf for a little bit, and our chats helped get me back. So thank you.
I'm so glad that I can be that, like, a person that you can come to work to and like chat about that kind of thing with, because I think if we don't have a creative outlet, you need that for your soul.
You do.
And I think what you do is incredible. Like, I think the way that you can have a chat with someone and really find what lights them up and what's gotten them through things is a really powerful tool to be able to spread light onto the world.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I think what you're doing is amazing. And I just think in general, I just think you're a beautiful human and you deserve to do things that light you up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for this. It's been really good.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to do this again.
Yes.
In a year. So, because I'm not going to be working here anymore.
Very true.
We need to catch up again and see where you are in a year and how things are going.
No, I really appreciate it, Bradley. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Big thanks to Jesse for opening up and letting us know his story. Big thank you for you guys for listening. See you next time.